Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time we got cracking on with episode 3 of the Skyrim. Thank you very much for coming along, Suzuki. Your secret's safe with me. Thank you very much. We're going to get cracking on with episode 3, where we are going to carry on from where we left off last week, which was the end of session number 1. So we will continue the game. I'm close to leveling up, and hopefully my players will be at the same sort of time, and we're going to get carried on with the session notes. Now, I don't have, my players haven't played session 1 yet. I need to get a head start because this session is going to be possibly going to be many parts, because I kind of railroaded my players on the first game. So you know, whatever they do, they will end up here, and I can kind of script it. Whereas, as we see, once we get to places like Riverwood, as many people who have already played this game before know, that once you've left Helgen, you can pretty much do whatever the hell it is that you want to do. And of course, I mean, as you can see, I mean, anybody who's played Skyrim knows that this is a very empty quest log, so we will have to see what happens as we play along. And you see Ralof in the distance there. So basically, what would have happened is at the end of the last game, this is the cave to Helgen is here. And so what I would have done at the end of the last game is my players would have started a short rest. They would be able to heal up and do whatever it is they want to do. Their companion, who was with them, has already run off. I know Ralof's going to be waiting for me at the bottom here, but we'll have to play that as it comes. But yeah, as it is, yeah. So, all I need to do is kind of have a look here, and in my session notes I kind of need to describe the area in which we are in, which is largely mountainous, filled with plenty of pine trees, I imagine, with the road to Riverwood winding down through the mountainside, basically, and it just gives me an idea about how to describe it. So it's going to be a lot of back and forth to my session notes today, because essentially, and that's what this game is all about. So let me just give you a brief overview about how my session notes would look from one session to the next. We have session 2, and I've given it a name because why not? And what I would end up doing here is giving a brief description to my players, because you know, D&D isn't always every week, about what they did last time, who they met, and you know, what quests have they been given. Of course, like we did the last show, we had the NPCs, and we'll put the NPCs here again, and again I'll make character sheets for every single one of them. And then of course we have the locations. Now this is only going to be, basically it's going to remind me about what locations they're going to be in, and this one will probably just be Riverwood, and I will have a fact sheet about Riverwood in my folder, which is currently tucked away here. My folder that has all of my NPC character sheets in it will have my session notes in it as well. Yeah, the character sheets for my NPCs, and then I'll also have, you could almost say character sheets for my locations as well, but they won't be laid out. Yeah, a location doesn't have skills, so yeah. And then, so what I'm going to be focusing on mostly today is going to be my talking to my players about what they're going to be doing. So of course the party have been left to partake in a short rest while their ally leaves them, heading to the small town of Riverwood. And I will say what the area is like. So the region directly outside of the cave exit to Helgen could best be described as mountainous. With many foothills of the surrounding mountains surrounding them. There are many pine trees, spell it right, many pine trees dotting the landscape, and a single winding track leads down into the valley. One thing I will notice actually is something that let's just come back to this a second, because when it comes up, there we go. Did it come up? There we go. One thing I did notice is in the distance you can see Bleak Falls Barrow, which is kind of handy, which is off to the north by northwest. So that'll be interesting to put in there, because of course my players won't know exactly what it is. So what I can put off to the north by northwest, a large, seemingly ancient structure juts, is that how you spell juts? Juts out from a nearby mountain side, and a history check, DC 20, because I don't want anybody to know exactly what it is. This is Bleak Falls Barrow. So let's have a gander as well. Oh, sorry, I didn't actually show you what I'd written there. Yeah, so off to the north by northwest, a seemingly ancient structure juts from the nearby mountainside, and a history of DC 20 will tell them that it is Bleak Falls Barrow. Let's carry on then. One thing I might be able to do is just stop doing the whole flitting backwards and forwards. We'll see how that goes. Alright. There we are. So yeah. So that is Bleak Falls Barrow. Other than that, what is the time? It is currently 7:35 PM of Sunday. I'm not really worried too much about what time of day everything is, because of course, like I said at the end of the last session, I'm kind of keeping track. So basically all I want to do is, I know there's about 6 hours to Riverwood, basically putting them in Riverwood at the end of the day, meaning they actually need to go and find somewhere to rest for a long rest, rather than just heading straight into Riverwood and then picking up more quests and then moving on. Kind of breaking that up for them, so that when they get to where they want to be, they're not just going to go straight up to, you know, Gerda or Alof. Oh, and that's my computer telling me that Windows 7 can't deal with the game. That'll happen every game or so. Is everybody with me? Should be alright. So, let's get cracking on. So again, they're just winding down the road. They're just, all I'll do, we're kind of going to be fast travelling most of this as well. They're just going to be moseying on along, whatever. They're going to be moving along down into the valley, and it's going to take them however long it takes them to do that. They could probably role play some chat when they go down. And what the really great thing about being the DM is that this road leading up to there, off the top of my head, I can't remember where that road goes. But for now, I don't need to tell them it's there, so that's handy. Silent Parasite, thank you very much for following there. Thank you very much for joining me. So as the DM, I don't need to tell them that road's there, so that's handy. They can just carry on following the road down to Riverwood, which is this way. Irisstead apparently is that way, so there we go. This is one of the mods I believe I have, by the way. If anybody wants to know what mods I've got, one of them is just better road signs, so that you know, rather than, I think this is the vanilla, that you have Whiterun and Riften that way and that way, as well as Falkreath, I think, and yeah, Falkreath. But I think these extra signposts are one of my mods, so there we go. So anyway, let's carry on going down to, and I think I have better lighting as well, the lampposts along the roads, just so that I can see what I'm doing, basically. So we're going to carry on going down here. Oh, this is fun. There we are. Alright, so we get to the standing stones. Now, I don't know if I want to put the standing stones in this game, because obviously giving them extra powers, I don't know. But what I do want to do is learn 20% faster. Magic. I'm not going to be doing magic during this playthrough. These stone stealth skills. No, you know what, I think I probably need to be able to level this up pretty quickly, so I'm going to do that for myself, just so to try and make this game through a little bit better. Alright, so again, I mean, there are plenty of flowers and stuff. If you played Skyrim, picking up tons of flowers along the trek. But I don't need to worry about any of that. What I am looking for is the walls that are going to attack us. I wonder if I should put in, so it's going to take 6 hours, so I think it's going to take them a couple of hours to get down to the river. And what I think we do, because I don't want to just fast travel my players right the way through the game. So what I'm thinking we could do is, if we come on here, yeah, they can do whatever roleplay or anything that they want to do before they get along here. But what I think we want to do is, after about 3 hours of travel, the track takes a steep decline into the base of the valley. Here the path, actually that should be a full stop. Let's get grammar correct, shall we? Hey, I've just started getting into D&D along with my son. Just got the starter pack today, so I am looking around to try and pick things up. Silent Paradise, good on you. That starter set is fantastic. The Lost Mines of Fandelver, I did try and run that. Unfortunately, I personally killed my party with 6 goblins. It kind of, my first one out didn't go very well. So yeah, feel free. Seeing what happens behind the DM screen, I mean, I'm no DM genius by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm trying it out, so you might be able to pick up a few things. And yeah, I do like that. I love D&D. Here, the path meets the fast flowing river that supplies the south end of... Is it the Pale? Oh dear, I'm going to have to try and remember my Skyrim geography now. Where did I put my map? There. Well, I say it's the map. It's my... No, it's actually called Whiterun. Isn't it? The hold itself is called Whiterun. Let's have a look. Hold one, Halfinger. It's not Halfinger. I think, yeah, it's called Whiterun, isn't it? Hellmarsh is that one in the corner there. The Pale. Which one is the Pale then? Oh, where Dawnstone is. Right, okay, fair enough. We're just double checking. Winterhold is where Winterhold is. The Reach is with right at the end with Markov. That'll be interesting once the party gets over to that sort of area. Whiterun is where Whiterun is, and as well as the throat of the world. It's called the White River, if anybody's interested, so we can change this. The path meets the fast flowing river. The fast flowing caplocks. That's not what I meant to do. There we are. And turns sharply. Whoops. I'm capitalizing everything. And turns sharply to the left. Yeah. And we can, what we can do as well is we can, I wonder if it will work if I just leave that there and just bring up Skyrim. Can you see it okay? Nope, doesn't show up. Right, okay. Let me bring up that one then. There we are. There we are. So what we can do is I can kind of take a mental image of the waterfall and stuff like that, but other than that, it's turned sharply to the left and follows east. We don't need to worry about much more than that. If the party want to investigate the river, they can find fish, but it's up to them. And I'll try and improvise something. We'll see what happens. That'll be alright. Oh, there are those walls that I'm after. There we go. Come here. Get here. Where are you? Where'd he go? Oh. Oh, wow. Okay, so there we go. That was the walls that I'm after. So, 3 wolves. Now, this is where... What's going on here? Oh, that'll do. Alright, so... Now, I'm not going to use a map for this. What we can do is a DC... No, we'll see, is... what can we do? Of course, I need to find, actually, I'll tell you what I do need to do. Wolves will try and sneak. So, 3 wolves are trying to sneak up on the party. With them rolling a stealth check that is contested against the parties. Passive. That's not how you spell passive. Wisdom. There we go. If the party does not see them, then the walls will get a surprise attack round. If the party sees them, and my favourite words. Oh, actually, I need to. There we go. Roll initiative. I love those words. Right. And then I will put in there that there is 3 times wolves. Should be nice and simple. Nothing too crazy for them, especially just after they've finished a short rest. So that should not be an issue for the party. I like what you're doing, transferring your Skyrim gameplay into your DM story. My son wants me to DM, so looking for ideas when I've learnt the D&D rules. You know what, to be honest with you, D&D is such a simple game. To be honest, it looks really complicated when you first look at a character sheet, or when you consider just how thick the player's handbook is. But the thing is, one thing I've been telling my party is, with the exception of my dad and my daughter, who have played the Lost Mines of Phandelver with me, where I killed them, everyone at my table has never played D&D before. And the one thing I do teach them is that D&D is not complicated in terms of everything you actually need to remember is written right in front of you the entire time that you're playing. It's all of the information you need is on the player sheet, is on the player's sheet. So yeah, I mean, learning as a DM, learning what the different rules could be in terms of what you need to tell them to do and what you need to ask them to do, honestly, all you really need to remember is how difficult a task is, whether it's a DC 5, 10, 15, 20 roll. Other than that, most of the time, you know, it's pretty much self-explanatory, and all you're doing is just telling a story with each other. And the dice are the ones that are complicating it. Especially if you use an app like D&D Beyond, where it tells you on each of the players' character sheets, it tells you how many attacks you can make, or you know, it tells you how many actions you can make, and each turn you've got one action at low levels, one action, one bonus action, and it tells you what all the bonus actions are that you could do. And then it's just a case of just interpreting the rules. If a player wants to do something that isn't necessarily written down, is that you then go through and just try and figure out how would that work in the real world, and how would, you know, how easy is it to fit within a 6-second window of fighting, or how would it compute to what kind of skill check do you need to make. And other than that, the rest of it kind of just, you know, you build on that over time. And so basically it's literally what I'm doing here is that, you know, Bleak Falls Barrow is on the mountainside. Actually that should be in big bold letters as well as capitals. You know, I'm going to point out that there's a big building in the distance. What is the building? I hear in the back of my head one of my players saying, "What building is that?" And then I need to say, well, if you would know what building that is, you would either have to be local, which none of my players are, or you would have to have read it somewhere, and therefore you need to have a history check. And then of course I need to figure out just how easy is it to know what it is, and because it's such a singular item of Skyrim's geography, it's going to be high, because you'd have had to have read what Bleak Falls Barrow is and also know where it is. So for you to have read that, you needed to have studied it, and that's basically my principle behind it. Yeah, once I've rolled initiative, we'll, I mean, there's not really going to be any gold or silver or anything involved with that. It's just a case that they were attacked on the road. So once they've done that, we can then carry on, moving on to the next part of what we're doing. So here we go. So yeah, 3 walls done and dusted. I'm not going to give them a map. In fact, what I'll probably end up doing is just doing this on a whiteboard. I have one of those. I've got a whiteboard. So I'm not going to create a game map for that. In fact, this entire session probably won't have any game mats or battle areas built for them. Whereas my players will continually follow the river. One of the things I will say is that this bit here, trying to explain about the geography of what you've just done here. So like, you've gone up the hill a little bit to come up here. Basically there's a big rock that the river has probably bored through over the millennia, and so the path now goes over that big rock. I'm not going to say anything about this. My players are just going to carry on walking along the riverside. It's going to be quite simple as that. Oh, you're welcome. That's basically what this entire game is. This entire show is going to be about. It's not necessarily a show to say how to turn Skyrim into a D&D game. It's about looking at X, Y, and Z format. This is Skyrim. This is my inspiration. This is where I'm going to get my inspiration from. But how will I turn that inspiration into something that, for argument's sake, this is a first-person game. It's a single player. How am I going to turn that into a 6-player campaign? As well as, how am I going to change something that is set in its own secular universe and bring it into a rule set that already exists, and how do I fold those two together? Later on in this series I will be turning dragon shouts, and I have already started them on these index cards here. How I'm going to be turning, actually if I bring that up there, you might just about be able to see it. In fact, actually I can bring it up even better on the desk view here. I have dragon shouts that I have already been transforming into, a type of magic for the game, and so it's going to be, that's what this show's about, is taking the inspiration and changing it. Not because this is the way that it's done. This isn't the only way to change Skyrim into a D&D game, but it's kind of like, what's the thought process behind doing what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. And that way you should be able to come along, you could read a book, you can watch a television show, you can play a different game and then turn that along some of the trains of thought that I might go along, and turn it into a D&D campaign for yourself. And so here we are. This is Riverwood. There we are. So now we need to take a little bit of a snapshot of what we're looking at here. We have the lumber mill, which is where, of course, Rayloff's contact is. So we have that to the north side of town, because don't forget we've already turned left, so we started to head east from the Helgen. So on the north side of town we have the lumber mill. It's a walled community. this could arguably be a guardhouse, but the news of dragons hasn't reached Riverwood yet, so we don't need to have guards here, but we do have... Do we have any guards knocking about? Nope, no guards, so that's alright. And as you walk through, we have the blacksmith is right in front of you. This is... which one's which? Which one's this? This is... oh no, that's just a standard house. Opposite the blacksmith is the general goods store, which is here, which is the Riverwood Trader. And then we have the inn further into town, towards the back end of the town. So, what we're going to have here, we now need to, we kind of need to describe Riverwood to my players. So, following, whoops, don't need capitals for that, following the path for another few hours. The small village town, what have I been calling it? Is it the town of Riverwood? Small town of Riverwood. I don't even think it's that, is it? It's a village. It's a village. There's like, I mean, to be honest, scale isn't perfect in Skyrim, but even now it's kind of like, I think there's 4 houses in total in the game, in Skyrim, in Riverwood. Nuts Paints, thank you very much for joining me. That's a great idea. Once you're finished, will you be streaming your finished game on Mixer? So this particular set of GM notes I'm creating is for a home game that I'm going to be playing with my family, and I won't be streaming that. However, once they get that underway, and if all of my work is paying off into a really decent campaign, then I will probably be running it as a D&D campaign here on the Meeple Palace some point in the future, as long as it works well. How am I doing? I am doing rather well. I think I am just started to get through the beginnings of what I'm expecting to be my session 2 of Riverwood. So, following the path for another few hours, the small village of Riverwood. I will just put that in capital. I don't need to bold it. Comes into view. There aren't much in the ways of defenses. Just a small wall built across the road with what appears to be a simple guard gantry overhead for anyone who happens to be watching the trail gets a advantage of the road. Simple as that. To the north end of end of town, you can see the Riverwood lumber mill, where the Riverwood lumber mill, and if the party have Rayloff as an ally, they know that this needs to be in bold. Girder. Is it Girder? Is that how it's spelt? I can't remember. Let's have a look. Oops. let me find a Rayloff's character sheet where he should have Gerdur. Oh, almost. Oops. And it's his sister. Oops. So what I need to do, yeah, following the path for another few hours, yeah, which is now nighttime, of course. I need to remember that. I need to find a way of putting that in here. That I need to put it in to remind everybody that the sun's going down. There aren't much away. This village happens to be watching the vantage point of the road. The businesses seem to be closed as the sun has set, just as the party was arriving in town. Also meaning that there wasn't really anybody on guard, because it's actually it's kind of early evening, so the businesses are closed, so they're not going to be able to see anybody, but you know, they can just about make out what's in town. So the restream bot just advanced to level 1. Excellent. So what we can have a look in here is that if oh yeah, so you can also see just inside the town gates, the town gates, the village gates, the blacksmith has his shop, or his workshop, seemingly attached to his house. And then if the party has Hadvar as an ally, they would know that I can't remember his name. Let me see if I can find his name. I think it's Alvor or something is Hadvar's uncle's name. Wandered down to Riverwood. Let's have a look. Alvor and Sigrid know that his uncle... What am I doing? Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Right, hang on. Will we save us? Alvor and Sigrid. There we are. So if the party has Hadvar as an ally, they would know that Alvor and Sigrid are his aunt and uncle who live and work there. Let me just get some formatting done correctly. There we are. what we have here. What else do we need to know? Yeah, opposite. Yep, something like that. The blacksmith seems to be the town general good store. A sign hanging from the building reads, and I can't remember if anybody can remember what the store was called before I go back to the game. Let's have a look. Oh, music. Let's have a look. What was it called? I don't believe it's this one here. Oh, simply Riverwood Trader. So there we are. Riverwood Trader. Let's put my sword away. There we go. Riverwood Trader. So there we are. Reads. Door looks locked, and the door is locked, and no one seems to be home. Further down into Riverwood, an inn appears to be in full operation, with the sounds of talking and merriment. Merriment can be heard. There we go, that'll do. Let's have a look to see what that inn is called, because I can't remember what that's called either. Because the game is just too big for me to remember everything. No, the Winking Skeever is in Whiterun, I think, maybe. So yeah, what is this one called? This one is called the Sleeping Giant. That's the one. So there we are, and the Sleeping Giant is here. And of course, because I said I want my players to be getting here, I mean, this is 10 o'clock at night, it's not quite that late. It won't be quite that late. It'll be like 7 PM, which we will enter the inn here. There we go. Alright. So let's have a look. Preview can be heard. This is the Sleeping Giant's Inn. Now, of course, what we can do is, now that we have some names here, we've got Gerda, Alvor and Sigrid, as well as the location of the Sleeping Giant Inn. So what we can do is, here we have Gerda, is that right? No, probably not. G-E-R, yeah, that's one. G-E-R D-U-R. We have Gerda, we have Alvor, and Sigrid. And we also have the location not only of Riverwood, but also have the sleep. Whoops. Let's get some formatting done right, shall we? Sleeping giant inn. As well as, I mean, we can do it, is the blacksmith, and we have terrible river wood lumber mill, and that's what we've actually said so far. Oh, as well as Riverwood Trader. So I'm still kind of railroading my players at the minute, because of what I've done as the GM, I've shut all of the shops. There's nowhere else for them to go except for at the inn, unless of course they want to start breaking and entering and robbing the place blind. I haven't explained that there are anybody in the streets. I haven't said that there's anyone for them to find. All I've said is the only place that's open is the inn. And they could move straight through Riverwood, and I would have to improv everything from there on out. But I'm kind of hoping that they're going to pick to sleep at the inn. They need a long rest anyway. They only had a short rest between Helgen and coming here. They just got into a fight with some wolves, which aren't going to be difficult, but it's going to knock them back. And if they had any magic left over, they've probably used it. So they're probably going to want a night's sleep. And they don't have a house yet, so, you know, and unlike this game where whenever you see Ralof as if you go and see Gerda or Alvor and Sigrid, they will say you can use our house and you can go for a sleep there. And I don't really want to do that for my players, because that doesn't make any sense. The only reason why Skyrim does it is so that you've got somewhere to sleep, without having to pay the inn to do it. But as a D&D campaign, you have to sleep at the inn. So let us explore what we can find in here. What am I looking for? Gameplay. Yeah. So we can have a look to see what we've got going on inside here. So who do we have? We have...
You look worse than I feel.
Well, thank you very much. We have Embry.
The ale is going.
Ain't every day we get visitors in Riverwood.
Alvor is in here.
Did you hear me?
Yep, ale's going bad.
I guess you don't have potatoes in your ears after all. Just make sure we get a fresh batch in soon.
Come on in. Let me know if you...
Okay. Now, Delphine. Now, this is something that, again, spoilers if nobody has played this before, but I believe Delphine is actually a member of the Blades. She will end up having a much bigger character sheet, like I did last show, where I did a character sheet for an Imperial Guard. She will have a character sheet which will not be a commoner. So that's important as well. What I might do is give her a commoner's character sheet for the time being, and then upgrade her when she needs it. But I think it would make more sense as if I do the work now rather than needing to upgrade it later. So we have Delphine, and that was a nice little interaction. If I quickly just have a look at what his name is, Orgnar, right? Okie dokie. So that was a nice little interaction. What we could do is bring the world alive by giving a small little bit of a vignette to go in. As the players enter the bar. No, I don't need it in capitals, in bold. As the players enter the inn, a young blonde calls out to the bartender. And you know what I said, What did we say his name was? Ongthar or something? I'll check that in a minute. So what I'm doing here is basically I am giving a little vignette, something to bring the world alive. So I'm going to give them a little bit of something that the players don't really have any interaction to, and causes me as the DM to look completely insane as I'm talking to myself. But it gives them something, and also what it means is I can give the players the name of the bartender and possibly this blonde woman who works at the bar. Give them their names without the players feeling like they have to ask every single person what their name is. Sometimes it makes sense. You know, you might catch somebody, you might, maybe a pickpocket, and they catch them and they say, "What's your name, kid?" or whatever, and then that would make sense. But for them to have to go through the entire game asking every single NPC what their name is, that's going to put me in a situation where I'm going to have a cheat sheet of names that I'm going to be able to bring out, even if the NPCs aren't that important. I'm going to have to come up with somebody's name off the drop of a hat and not call everybody Dave, Bob, or Phil. So if I give them a name without them needing to ask for it, it means that my players are going to get into a position where they're going to feel that if they need to know that person's name, they're probably already going to know it. If not, then they can ask if it comes up. But on the whole, they're not going to need to have to ask every single person what their name is. There we are. So it's nice and simple, like that. Gives it something. It's just something to bring them all together and just give it something to, just give them something to see. What is going on here? Right, let's bring that back up to there. There we are. So that was that. What I can do is I can do that. I need to check that guy's name actually, because theoretically, because of the game, you're just supposed to go straight into what's the face's house. So let's have a look, see this guy's name, because I've actually forgotten what his name is. What have I missed tonight? Not too much. And just to let you know, your message did not show up on the Twitch chat, I'm afraid. But yes, not a lot. I've just made it to Riverwood.
Drink too. I cook.
Oh, nah. That's his name. I actually missed everything he just said then, which isn't too bad. It probably wasn't that interesting. Let's have a look to here. So what was it? Org. Nah, I was close. Ish. There we are. So let's have a look then. Yeah, so basically you haven't missed a huge amount. I've just done a lot of writing, but yeah, my players have left Helgen. They travelled a few hours down the road to the river. If they're lucky, they get to see Bleak Falls Barrow in the distance. They travel along the White River, get attacked by wolves. They might be able to see them. If not, the wolves get a sneak attack, and they follow it on into Riverwood. and basically it's nighttime, so they're not going to be able to they're not going to be able to do anything other than go to the inn and have a long rest. So yeah, that's pretty much what you missed. So we've got welcomes them. Whoops. Oh yes. Oh, I sneeze. There we go. So yeah, they see the party and welcome them in. They can have a drink if they want to in the bar. In the bar, they can see Alvor having a drink and a few other patrons who are enjoying the early evening. The party can get room for, and what I do need to do actually, I need to come around out of shop for a second, because one of the things that I did purchase is I bought myself the DM screen reincarnated, and on this should give me food, drink and lodgings. So what we can do is we can have the inn. It's 5 silver pieces per room. And in each room, 2 party members per room, should they wish. So that, you know, that's up to them how much of the room they want to spend. And again, the ale is, it's already written on here, so I don't need to. The rooms are the important because I know they're going to want rooms. If they want to get drinks and such, they can do what they want with that, and I will spend a time during the game just to see how much it's going to cost them. So there's that. Other than that, I think that's pretty much all they need to do. So what I need to write here is something a little bit different. Allow the players time to role play with each other before turning in for the night. Basically, just remind myself that this game is for them as well. Even though I'm trying to create this an awesome story, at the end of the day, they need their time to do so as well. So that's what we're going to do here. And in fact, what I might do is actually turn that into, go down here, put it in the middle, do it in bold as well. So there we are. That just gives them, if they want time, because considering what they've done thus far, this game is a case of survive a dragon attack and just run. Other than that, they haven't had time to meet each other really. I mean, they might know each other's names, they might have a few words to say to each other during combat. On the whole, the party doesn't know each other yet, so this is the time where they actually have the moment to catch a breath. There's nothing they can do until the morning, so they can catch a breath before turning in for the night. They can ask each other questions, they can come up with interesting things that they might want to do. Not forgetting that a lot of my players are brand new to D&D, so when you're telling somebody in D&D you can do whatever you want, and they're like, "Can you really though?" Yeah, this is the moment. This is the point to get them as new players to go, "Can I start a bar fight?" I mean, they could. So it's kind of like, just give myself that moment to basically hand control of the story over to the players for the time being. There's nothing they can do right now short of killing everyone that will change the story as a whole, but it's giving the players the game and saying, "Look, you've come this far, now what do you want to do?" So that's what that is, and it's just a way for me to remind myself to give my players that opportunity to say, actually, what I really want to do right now is, and then there they are, they're off they go. So with that in mind, what we can do is I can ignore the long rest because this is Skyrim and you can stay awake for ever. We can. One thing I do imagine is that if they want to talk to
Delphine.
need a room to talk to Delphine,
I'm just a
he
cook, lad.
would give work. So what we can do, Missy T, thank you very much. Yeah, I don't think the Meeple Palace was working on the restream bot, so but yeah, you're here. And there's some commands or something there. What I need to do now is I need to grab a piece of paper because this is the sort of thing that I need to make a note of. So, like I said, this is probably going to take up quite a few episodes because my players can now talk to literally everyone. So, what I need to do is I need to make a note on a piece of paper about the sorts of things that people can say and the leads that they will follow up on, and hopefully I also need to make a note and see if the map changes at all. So what I'm going to do is Orgnar is the barkeep, and I'm going to ask him about rumours that he's heard. So rumours he's heard lately. Lee, there we go, I can't spell. So yeah, I'm going to ask him what rumours he's heard.
There have been whispers. A boy up in Windhelm, name of Aventus Aretino, been trying to contact the Dark Brotherhood.
No, you see, that's a big one right there, right? So Aventus Aretino, Aventus Arentino in Windhelm has been trying to contact the Dark Brotherhood. So ask him again.
Have you seen that shrine of Azura? They say the Dark Elves built it after they fled from Morrowind. Sight to see.
Visit the shrine of Azura. Looks interesting. Yeah, there is a game. Testing typing from Discord. It worked. Oh, okay. Excellent. So yeah, if you want to join in on the Meeple Palace Discord, feel free to pop on over there, where there's lots of people having, well, we just hang out, talk, all sorts of things, and get games together. Maybe a relic from the dark elves fleeing to Morrowind.
I ain't looking to make friends.
Oh, whatever.
You like skeever liver? No? Tough luck.
Let's ask him anything else.
Lucan at the Riverwood Trader had his store broken into the other night. Oddly enough, barely anything.
There we go. So Lucan at Riverwood Trader. Let's just pause this for a second. Oh, it wouldn't work. But Riverwood Trader got broken into. Nothing much taken. Now that is a much more interesting rumour for the players to learn of right now, because that leads on into the Golden Claw mission. So that's kind of cool for them to find out now from the bartender, should they want to ask him.
Nobody trusts those mages way up north at their college. Gods only know what they do up there.
Again, no one trusts the mages from the college way up north. Okay, now that's 1, 2, 3, that's 4 rumours he's heard, and I think that's plenty for my players to know anything of. One thing they might do as early players, and I will encourage them to do this, is to look for side missions. Look for things that they can do that will help them level up, because I mean the very first thing they're going to do in this game is come up against an ancient dragon. They know that they are going to need to level up. Now I'm also not going to encourage them to become murder hobos, but having plenty of work, get themselves some gold, get themselves some experience will always help.
We got rooms
So
and food.
what we'll do is,
cook. Here, take a look at this. Some of the Jarl's men came by and left this bounty letter.
there we are, so bounty hunter. Right, so what we can do now is go to the items that we have and have a look at this bounty letter. So so he can also offer them a bounty. And this one is by order of Balgruff the Greater. To all able-bodied men and women of Whiterun, the bandits located in Haltered Stream Camp have been harassing, robbing and attacking citizens and visitors. A reward will be offered to anyone who kills their leader, from Proventus Avencini. Azucabe? I'm very sorry for completely butchering that screen name, but thank you very much for the host. So yeah, so he's offering a bounty to, what was it? To kill the leader at Haltered Stream Camp. Of Haltered Stream Camp. Now what I might even do is, I'm actually going to give my players, I might actually give my players little props like this, where, you know, they get used to getting handed bits of paper, and sometimes those bits of paper might actually have clues on them to the wider story. Now of course this won't, but it's one of those things that, you know, get them used to getting gifts and stuff, and you can create a much more immersive universe by giving them actual clues. And especially when they come back, when they read it the first time, it could be a bounty from somebody other. So, you know, this is by order of Balgruff the Greater, and it's written by Proventus Avencini. Avenici, I don't know. But the point is, later on, they could end up having a letter written by anyone, written from, you know, written by Delphine or whatever, and then you realise, oh, hang on, and then look back at their stuff that they had, and it's like, oh yeah, that's the same thing. So this would be cool. So I might make a little prop for this. So I'm going to write this down as well so that I can create something like this. So it's by order of Balgruff the Greater. To all able-bodied men and women of Whiterun, the bandits located in Halted Stream Camp have been harassing robbing and attacking citizens and visitors, and a reward will be offered to anyone who kills their leader. So there we go, and it's written by Proventus Evanisi. So there we go. Right, so I've written, if I bring this up here, look at this. Right, so I've written all of that from that one player, right, from that one conversation. So what we now need to do is I need to put that in here, because what I need to ask them is if the players talk to, whoops, I don't need it in bold. So if the players talk to Orgnar, he can give them rumors. I can't spell rumors. About Ventus I can't remember his name, so I'm going to have a look at his name in Dark Brotherhood at Radiant Quests. Let's have a look. Where's the Dark? I have got it written down here somewhere. What's the time? 23:27 already. Dark Brotherhood is there. There we go. Innocence Lost. That's not the one that I'm looking for. Oh, there we go. What's his name? Aventus Arentino. That's the one. Where was he? It was in Windhelm. So again, this is So of course I know a lot of this stuff as well, and if you played Skyrim you probably do as well. You probably already know the entire mission that what he's doing in there. Actually what I want to do is do that. There we go. Actually no, what I need to do is put that there. I don't want to keep reading as I'm typing because it's really annoying even for me to listen to. That Catbox Lucan, and this is really important. This one is really close to you know, what they're doing. So there's that. That's really important. This one I'm hoping that they probably will do, because this is, you know, talking about, you know, something that they can do while they're in Riverwood before they just go straight off to Whiterun. And then also he can tell them that no one trusts the wizards, no, the mages from the college up north. Gods only know what they get up to behind those closed doors. Now, as you can see, I've only written these as really basic bullet points because, one, the players might not even talk to Orgnar, and to be honest, writing an entire script out for that would be a waste of time if they never speak to him. Second of all, depending on how they speak to him and the way that they speak to him, depending on how he responds, so I don't necessarily want to have, you know, a word for word script, so that when I need to, I can kind of mix it up if I need to. So that is why I've only done this. And also what I might do is there, that way if they ask him if he's got any rumors, I can roll a d4 and it will tell me exactly what they're told. And likewise, if they ask him for anything else, if they find him interesting, there you go, there's 4 pieces of information you can give him. I can roll a d4 and I can then give them that piece of information. So there's that. So that's a handy little trick. Okay, so now we go back to the game. Oh no, what they also need to do is, if they ask Orgnar if there's any work nearby, he can give them the bounty letter left by the Whiterun officials that passed by a couple of days ago. And this is the bounty for the, what was it? Haltered Stream Camp Bandits. There we are. So that is what you can do them. And don't forget, obviously, this is also, you know, these notes, I mean, the last notes that I did for a game were about 4 pages long, and it was basically how to run away from Helgen. These notes for this particular game I am expecting to be long, because what I'm going to do here is I am basically going to write it out like a campaign book that you can buy from the Wizard of the Coast, and so basically it is writing everything in there. So what can happen is my players will just completely skip over large amounts. However, in future episodes, when my players might come back to Riverwood for whatever reason, and they haven't done any of this, for argument's sake, they haven't taken the bounty for the Haltered Stream Camp, I can give it to them in the future. So it's written here because this is the first time they can possibly pick it up. But in the future, I might allow them the opportunity to pick it up later on. So we'll see that. That was weird. Mini laptop didn't like handling Mixer and Twitch at the same time. Oh, okay. Welcome back. So there's that. Now what we can do as well is, while I'm here, is we can write out that little note for my players to pick up. Bounty by order of Valgruff the Greater. To all, and what we'll do as well is, because it's a note written by in the future, they didn't know how to line everything up perfectly. So what we will do here is to all able-bodied men and women of White Run. And it's located at Haltered Stream, what is it called? Haltered Stream Camp. Have been harassing, I don't even know if that's spelt right, I didn't need to put a capital H. Harassing, robbing and attacking citizens and visitors. A reward will be offered to anyone who kills their leader and brings evidence of such. And this is written by Proventus of Benici. There we are. So this is something I will actually be giving my players to use as a prop, as it were. So what we need to do is we need to just see if we can find a nice little font to go with it. It gives us a nice no, that's really hard to see. We don't want to do that. No, that's too boring. So let's see if we can find something that will work as... Hey, that looks cool. But what we will do is we'll make this even bigger. And we'll make that a little bit bigger. So we'll put it as like that. There we go. And all of this will get shrunk down a little bit to say, yeah. And then this, what we can do is we can change that into something that looks more like a sort of a signature. What's that? We're putting commands in. I see the chat moving. I'm like, what is it? And sometimes it's just bot stuff. No, that looks terrible. If he's written that, it's going to look something about better than that. Calligraphic. No, it looks too straight, doesn't it? What I'll probably do with this though is that in the future I'll probably end up giving it some of the old tea stain stuff or whatever. I do actually have a picture saved on my computer that actually is just like parchment coloured, and that would probably work as well. That would do. There we go. So, or shall I just... No, you know what? I'm just going to keep it. If he wrote this, he's probably going to keep it. After all of that, I think it might be worth just keeping it the same. Is it that one? Yeah. That would probably work. What we can do is we can bold that. And we can maybe underline that. No, that's too straight. We don't want that. But there we are. Alright, so there we go. So we now have a bounty letter that I'll actually give to my players as a prop. So there's that. What am I looking for? I'm looking for there. Alright, so he can give them the bounty for the Halted Stream Camp bandits. Other than that, that is what they can do is if they talk to Orgnar. There we are. And this is all down at the same time as doing this. You know, if they're role playing, you know, they can talk to each other or they can talk to these people. This stuff that they're being given right now is information and it's possible side quests, but it's nothing that they have to do right now. It can just be something they can do, they can put into their notebooks and they can keep to one side whenever they want. So there's that. I don't know if I'm going to make them do checks for this. I might do in some of it, just to see what happens. But I'll possibly add that later as we go. So there we go. That is one person's conversation. What we now need to do is also see who else is in the tavern. And I'll probably do one more for the night before we call it there. So there we go, that's what we've just written out. One thing I can do is bring up the map. There we go, that's what I was looking for. Exit that. And I want world map, there we go. Halted Stream Camp is, if we have a look here, is there, it's no Halted Stream Iron Mine. That might be it actually, no, is it? Yeah, let's have a look at there we go. Do we have a thing for that? No, we don't seem to have a quest marker for that. But I believe the Halted Stream Camp is the Halted Stream Iron Mine, so I could possibly give them a history check to see if they know where that is. I will write on my little note here that it's north of Whiterun. And again, you see, it's north of Whiterun. There's no need for them to be travelling all the way up to Halter Stream Camp, only to find that they have to pass Whiterun, and so they'll do that. They'll go to Whiterun, and they haven't spoken to Gerda yet, who tells them to go to Whiterun to talk to the Jarl about the dragons. So, you know, it makes sense for them to wait. They know it's right the way up north, almost near Marthal, if we have a look here. Well, you see, south of the mountains of Marthal, but it's there. So they don't want to be travelling all that way. So that's what we'll do. Again, he can,
Need a room,
you know,
talk to Delphine.
and if you need a room, talk to Delphine. And so we can talk to Delphine.
You're that visitor been poking around.
Huh. Right. So let's see what Delphine has to say.
Word is Ulfric Stormcloak escaped from the Imperials. War is only going to get worse now.
Okay, the Jarl escapes. We know that, so I probably won't tell them that.
Word is Ulfric Stormcloak escaped. Word is Ulfric
Okay, so she doesn't have anything, but Delphine. One thing that he did say just then was, if you need a room, talk to Delphine, which will then give the players her name again without needing to ask for it. Who else do we have in here? What time is it? It's 1 o'clock in the morning, so I don't think anybody's going to be in here right now. So yeah, that's pretty much it, I think, for their stay in the inn. Oh, Embry's going to sleep. Let's see what Embry has
Out
to
of
say.
my way, stranger.
Oh, don't you start with me. I only woke you up.
Yes?
No, he didn't have anything to say either. Do we have anybody else? Oh, Delphine went to sleep. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, I don't blame her. This would be the room that you would sleep in if you hire the room. So yeah, that's it, actually, to be fair. So let me just save that quickly, which is there. Dave the Dark Elf. There we are. Alright, so let's just have a quick look at what we've got in terms of what's it today. I'll have a drink for your patrons who are joining in the party can get runes, which I will write here. Ongar points, whoops, points them to, whoops, what am I doing? There. I'm gonna have to mess around with formatting. So here we go. Right. So let's just have a look at what we have so far. Session 2, and we need to. I mean, of course, I will fill this in personally, depending on what my party actually got up to during the game. Any cool moments or anything interesting that they did. The NPCs that we have Gerda, Alvor, and Sigrid, of course. And now we do have, what's his name? Orgnar. And Delphine. So I will write a character sheet for those at some point. The locations that the characters see will be Riverwood, of course, as well as the Sleeping Giant Inn, which theoretically they'll go to first. The blacksmith and the lumber mill, we'll talk about those in the next session probably. As well as the Riverwood Trader. The party have been left to partake in a short rest while their ally leaves them, heading to the small village of Riverwood, which is where the party basically then takes the reins from my intro. Region directly outside is the hillside and stuff, and the track winds down, and if they're lucky they get to see Bleak Falls Barrow in the distance. And after about 3 hours of travel, the track takes A steep climb to the base of the valley. Here the path meets the fast-flowing White River. Doesn't really mean anything, it just means that the river is called the White River. Turn sharply to the left. The three wolves are trying to sneak up on the party. Hopefully they will get to see them. If not, the wolves will get a surprise round on them. And of course, my favourite words, roll and shiv for three wolves. They'll follow the path for another few hours to a small village of Riverwood, where I'll try and explain the village to the best I can. The businesses seems to be closed, of course, because unlike Skyrim, I need to kind of keep an eye on what sort of time everything is. You can't just wait and, you know, I mean, I often, when I'm playing this game, I just press wait outside of a shop for 6 hours, and I'll just be stood there for 6 hours waiting for it to open. Of course, depending on who they have as their ally, Ralof will be Gerda, who's going to be at the lumber mill. I will need to make another game where I play through up to this point so that I can make sure that if the party happens to choose Hadvar, I also know what Alvor and Sigrid are going to say. And I need to kind of know the two sides of that, so I will end up doing another playthrough. As this playthrough, it's because I followed Ralof, but I will need to redo that and have a look through what other opinions might have been said. And of course, opposite the Blackstraw is the general goods store. The sign hanging from it is the Riverwood Trader. Again, I've told them that that's what they see, and then hopefully, if they talk to him about rumours, he mentions the Riverwood Trader down here. Whoops. Didn't mean to do that. He mentions the Riverwood Trader here. So they hopefully will make that connection. And of course the only place that is open at that time of night is the Sleeping Giant Inn, where hopefully they will go in. They see a little vignette about what's going on. Like I said, talking to people about giving them their names out in public so that the party doesn't have to go around asking everybody what their name is. A nice little note to myself: let them roleplay the game. Don't try to just keep the story moving forward. You know, they've just had a big fight with a dragon. They haven't had much opportunity to take control of the story, so give them that control to do so, as well as talking to Ognar, who will be the only person who's in the bar that has anything to say to them. There is a few other people. I mean, the bar was empty on Skyrim because there isn't many people in anywhere ever. But I will add a few extra people, and they can try and talk to people, but most of the time they'll get ignored. And then of course we have the rumours and the job for the halted stream camp from the bandits. And that, I think, is where I'm going to leave tonight's show. We've done a lot. It doesn't seem like we've done a lot because, to be honest, this is not an entire gameplay. This is maybe an hour actually sitting at the table doing this, and you know, games go on for about 4 hours or so. But this is where this show is going to come into its home. Hopefully it's going to be a case of there's going to be lots and lots of shows about breaking down every single episode. Once I actually start playing this in real time, I'll be able to tell you how my players are getting on. Is there anything I should have changed, anything I should have done differently, or have they completely blown me out of the water and I basically had to improvise an entire game because they didn't do anywhere near what I was expecting them to do. Going forward, even from Riverwood, we have got, not only do we need to follow the trail that has just been given to us by Lucan for the Riverwood Trader, we need to deal with that kind of situation depending on if my party wants to do it. We also need to go and talk to Gerda and see what she had to say about the dragons in Helgen, and then we need to go and listen to that kind of spiel. We also, don't forget, if you played it in the past, there is a love triangle going on in Riverwood, so we need to open that up for my players, so we'll see if we can kind of figure that one out. We need to talk to the wood elf who's hanging around town. So there's that. So I hope you guys enjoy where we've got today. No battle maps created today, even though there was a bit of a combat, but I don't have any kind of wilderness tiles yet. So I'm not going to be creating them. Most of the time a wilderness is going to be trees and grass. That's pretty much it. So we'll see how that works out in the future. But I hope you enjoyed this show, and don't forget I will be back. I will not be back next week. Next week I'm on holiday, so Thursday next week I won't have a show. I will do it the following Thursday. So in 2 weeks' time I'll be back picking up exactly where I left off here. So make sure you tune in for that. Don't forget to come back to the Meeple Palace if you haven't already done so. Make sure you're following it and make sure you are keeping up with everything that goes on. There should be a live D&D game tomorrow night starting from 9 PM UK time, I think. We'll have to see how that goes. Keep an eye on. Don't forget to go and check out on the TMP, the Meeple Palace Discord, and you can keep up with us and have a chat with us there. And thank you very much, Meeple Palace, for that shout out. And you can find me, Bases of Operations, over at twitch.tv/Bases of Operations. And you can also find links to all of my personal social media on that channel. You can find my Discord channel, Instagram, Facebook, and so on. So I don't know whether Missy T wants to do a raid for me tonight, because I'm streaming to the Meeple Palace, but I don't control it. So I don't know if you want to do it for me. Other than that, I'll see you all in 2 weeks' time. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I will catch you all in the next one. Alright guys, Tara, thanks for joining me.